Okay. Hi, everyone. We're going to work on starting to add our imagery to our good paper. So your good paper, you're going to want to take out of your portfolio, and you're going to want to find the correct paper. So we have everything kind of protected by this manila sheet. And so inside your paper, right, you've got these little 5x6 pieces of paper. Then you have some tracing paper, and then you've got 2 sheets of this really thick paper. We want the one that's the smallest of the 2. So this is 11 by 14. So 11 by 14. We want to make sure that we are using the proper paper. Okay. Come on, focus. If I sit something on top of it, it'll stay focused for me. There we go. Right? So it's going to be a smaller sheet of paper, right? We'll use that big sheet of paper for another assignment. So we'll want to go ahead and put all that other paper away. Now, usually when I make art, I don't like to draw all the way to the edges. I like to give myself a 1/2-inch border all the way around. But, right, I'll actually show you here. See how there's a 1/2-inch border? But because we're at home, we're not going to worry about that, but we might get into that habit later. So you've practiced your toys, and so what you want to do is you want to start drawing out your sketch. So you're going to use your sketch for placement and size, thinking about how big your object is going to be in the entire composition. So we're going to use this, but also to draw it, you're going to need your toy. So from my last video, I used tape to kind of prop it up. This time I'm going to use my pencil case. If I was going to draw that, I'd want to be making sure that I'm looking at it from the angle in which I see it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start to figure out how much space each of your views are going to take. Okay, so let me put the whole piece of paper in the screen so that you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, so my first fly is going to take up more than half, right? And it goes under the half. So if I went in here, kind of divide it into quadrants, right? So this is 4 equal places. You can see that it takes up more space than that. So I'm going to lightly kind of put in where that first fly is going to be. And you probably are having a hard time even seeing that line. And I'm okay with that because this is just to place our flies. So then my other fly is going to basically be over here, and then my bottom one is going to be over here. Okay, so it's going to be really light. We want to get out of the habit of pressing really hard. Sometimes we're like, oh, it's a light pencil, I have to press really hard, and then we go to erase it and the line stays, right? We don't want to press hard at all. If we want a darker pencil, we can use a dark pencil like a 4B pencil instead. But I'd like you to try to draw it lightly. So I'm using my HB pencil. That won't scratch the surface. And so what I'm going to do is just like I did for the close-up that we did before, I'm going to go ahead and start to draw in really like light spaces about like how big I want to draw the head, right? And then I'm going to use the head as a unit of measurement to say, okay, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. It's going to be 3 heads wide when I'm done, right? So my fly is going to be kind of going off the page here. So I'm going to look at the angle in which it's going back into space, and I'm going to draw that in once again very lightly, right? How my fly is kind of going back. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw in the segments that I have here. So I have a slightly different angle than my practice because I'm standing above it, but that's okay. It's going to still be pretty much the same or similar, I should say. Right, so I'm looking at like where these wings line up. I know you guys can't see it, but they line up on a diagonal, right? And so I've kind of got the basic shape in. I apologize for it, you know, still kind of refocusing here. And then once I have like the basic shape and proportion, I can go in and start to put in more specific detail. So for my head, right, I'm going to kind of put it into segments here. And I can reevaluate as I work where these shapes are going to go. So I'm keeping it nice and light. Right? Notice how this face is not centered, that we see more of one side of the face than the other, right? I'm going to try to make sure that my eyes line up. Kind of put in those details. So you're going to keep going, right? Thinking about how it layers, how it goes back into space, right? But you're also going to keep in mind the proportion. So at the end, and this is a little bit bigger than the piece of paper you've got, right? We're going to draw it all out in pencil, right? Thinking about the angles, the placement, right? We're going to draw it and we're going to clean it up, right? So just like we did on the practice, we're going to be able to go back in and clean up the details and erase all those extra marks, right? So you really want to focus on how much space each of your toys is going to take up. I would not necessarily worry about background at the moment. You can insert your background in later. However, if you have a really large background that is like centered or just taking up a lot of space, you could lightly draw it in. Just make sure you're looking at a reference. So either the object itself or you're looking at a photo references. There's no drawing out of your head, right? That will simplify and won't be sophisticated enough. So let's make sure that we are looking at real things in order to draw. So just to make sure I actually completed that thought, because I'm actually not sure, you can draw the background in first if it's really big, right? As long as you have a reference. But if it's just a pattern or if it's something that's going to go behind a lot of the imagery, I would start with the 3 views first.